Mr. President, we have learned now in the last 24 hours that the unemployment rate has gone to 7.2%. Percentages don't mean much to a household in which one spouse came home and said, "Honey, I lost my job." And we have seen now more than 2 to 2.5 million people losing their jobs in just the last 12 months. We face a very severe and deep financial crisis. There's no question about that. There's not been a debate on the Senate floor about whether there's a problem. It's probably the first area of agreement. There's a big problem with this economy. The question is, what do we do about it? What can give people confidence that we can pull this economy out of the ditch and try to provide for growth and opportunity and expansion once again? It's interesting, I read in the newspaper yesterday that the New York Yankees offered a pitcher $22 million a year to pitch for the next 8 years. So not all of the economy is in deep trouble, apparently. There's at least one baseball team and one pitcher that's smiling today. But even as you read those kinds of discussions, most of the American families are worried about losing their jobs, losing their home, concerned about the future, wondering what their future holds. And so I want to talk about that today. First of all of us, I think, understand this economic engine of America has stalled. All of us understand the mechanics of starting an engine. If the engine of the ship of state is stalled, I'm all for hooking up some jumper cables and trying to start this engine. And that's the discussion we had for 2 hours yesterday in our caucus to talk about what kind of emergency actions can jumpstart this economy. What kind of jumper cables or hand crank or whatever effort you want to make will jumpstart this economy. The point that I made yesterday was that's important to do, and I support it. And I think we ought to focus like a laser, if we're going to spend money we don't have, to put together an emergency plan for some sort of economic recovery. That means we're going to borrow money. If we're going to borrow money at a time when we have escalating, substantial increased federal deficits, I want every single penny of it to go in support of creating a job that's going to put somebody back on a payroll that's going to give their family some hope for the future. This is all about building confidence. But even if we do that, if we ignore the fundamental requirement, to use the analogy of a vehicle, if we ignore the requirement to rewire this engine, then we've missed the boat. By rewiring, I mean this financial system of ours in this country collapsed. The biggest names in finance in America have gone bankrupt, have been the recipients of tens or hundreds of billions of dollars of federal help because they collapsed. You got to rewire the whole thing. If you don't rewire that system and make basic fundamental reform in our financial system, you're not going to restore confidence in the American people about this system going forward. That means accountability looking back and accountability looking ahead, and it means making certain that we end what we have seen created here in recent years, this so-called house of cards. I've got the house on top because this starts with an unbelievable scandal in mortgage lending for homes, subprime lending, and so on. I'm going to talk about that today. But I know we read the papers about Mr. Madoff having absconded with $50 billion of investors' money by building a Ponzi scheme. Look, the tongue and groove of how all of the rest of this fits is no different than the Ponzi scheme of Mr. Madoff. It was brokers, it was mortgage bankers, it was investment banks, it was collateralized debt, it was securitized instruments, it was exotic financial instruments created for one purpose, and that was to give everybody a lot of money as they all wallowed in the creek here. And so the fact is, we've got to fix it. We've got to rewire it. Everybody's talking about how do you jumpstart it? How do you put people back to work? I'm all in favor of doing that. But I want to make certain that we rewire this system.